My phone buzzes against the conference table for the third time in 5 minutes. I ignore it, focusing on the blueprints spread between me and Marcus Donovan, my most important client this quarter. These sight lines from the master bedroom are exactly what we discussed, Marcus says, tracing his finger along the edge of the drawing. But I'm wondering if we could. Another buzz, then another. Persistent, demanding attention like a mosquito that won't quit. I'm so sorry, I say, forcing a professional smile. Let me just silence this. I flip my phone over, and that's when I see it. A text from Mom Genevieve, as she prefers everyone but me call her. Don't call or come over anymore. You are no longer part of this family. We're done. The family has decided. My hand trembles. Coffee sloshes over the rim of my mug onto the pristine blueprints, spreading a light brown stain across the southwest corner of what should have been my career-defining project. Everything okay? Marcus asks, concern flickering across his face. Fine, I manage, dabbing at the spill with a napkin. Just a minor family thing. Family thing. As if being excommunicated via text message at 4:15 on a Tuesday afternoon is a minor family thing. My mind flashes back to this morning. After pulling an all-nighter to finish these renderings, I'd transferred $2,500 to Mom's account, money I couldn't really spare for what she'd called an emergency AC repair. The third emergency this month. I'd been so exhausted I barely registered the dangerously low balance notification that followed. Let's reschedule, Marcus suggests, gathering his things. You seem distracted. No, please, I start, but he's already standing. It's fine, Sabrina. Family comes first, right? He smiles, not knowing the knife those words twist in my chest. We'll pick this up on Friday. 30 minutes later, I find myself driving past Mom's house. My hands grip the steering wheel so tightly my knuckles turn white. Several cars line the driveway, Aunt Darlene's silver Lexus, Uncle Roderick's ridiculous red convertible. The house glows with warm light against the darkening sky, and through the front window, I can see silhouettes moving, glasses raised, music drifts through the crack in my car window, laughter. Celebration. Celebration of what? My banishment? I pull up Instagram, a sinking feeling in my stomach. My sister Serafina's latest post appears at the top of my feed, a selfie with Mom, Aunt Darlene, and Uncle Roderick, all grinning widely. The caption reads, "So blessed to be with my real family. Cutting out toxicity." Posted 20 minutes ago. My fingers tremble as I call her. She answers on the fourth ring. What do you want? Serafina's voice is ice cold, nothing like the bubbly tone she uses in her influencer videos. What's going on? Mom just texted me saying I'm not part of the family anymore. She told you already? Good. A pause. You're too toxic, Sabrina. Please respect our boundaries. Boundaries? What are you talking about? I just sent Mom money this morning for... Don't make this about money. It's about your behavior. What behavior? If you don't know, that's part of the problem. Her voice drops to a whisper. I have to go. Don't call again. The line goes dead. The first drops of rain hit my windshield as I sit there, staring at my phone. Disbelief slowly crystallizes into something harder, colder. Realization. I've always been the responsible one. The family fixer. The one who dropped out of graduate school when Dad left to help Mom get back on her feet. The one who sends money whenever there's an emergency, which mysteriously coincides with Serafina's weekend getaways or Mom's spontaneous kitchen remodels. My banking app confirms what I already know. My account balance is dangerously low after this morning's transfer. Another notification pops up, an overdraft warning. The mortgage payment is scheduled for tomorrow. I'm the toxic one? After everything I've done? The rain falls harder now, matching the storm building inside me. I drive home to my empty apartment, the space I can barely afford because every extra dollar goes to them. I open my financial records app and create a new spreadsheet. Every transfer, every emergency, every loan that was never repaid. I document it all, watching the numbers climb. $42,000 over the past 18 months. Beside this spreadsheet, I open Serafina's Instagram feed and begin cross-referencing dates. The day after I sent money for Mom's plumbing emergency, Serafina at a spa weekend. The car repair funds a new designer bag appears in her posts. The medical bills, a family vacation I wasn't invited to. I paid for my own exile. I whisper to my empty living room. Something shifts inside me, like a key turning in a rusty lock. I pick up my phone, toggle the settings, and set it to Do Not Disturb. No more. The next morning, the old tablet feels heavier than it should as I pull it from the back of my closet. I blow dust from its surface, wondering if it even works anymore. 3 years old, ancient by tech standards, abandoned when I upgraded. I plug in the charger and wait. A miracle. It powers on. I swipe through apps I'd forgotten existed when a notification banner slides down from the top of the screen. Facebook? A platform I've barely touched since Instagram became Serafina's domain of choice. Genevieve Parker has posted for the first time in 8 weeks. My mother's account is still logged in. Of course it is. The woman who needed my help to set up email passwords and recover forgotten accounts never quite grasped the concept of logging out. Technology is for young people, she always said while happily accepting the latest iPhone I'd buy her for Christmas. My finger hovers over the notification. This is an invasion of privacy. This crosses a line. Then I remember her text. You are no longer part of this family. We're done. Lines have already been crossed. I tap the notification. Mom's Facebook feed fills the screen. Nothing particularly revealing, just the usual, carefully curated photos of family dinners I'd funded but wasn't invited to. I navigate to her private messages, justifying each tap with memories of betrayal. The conversation with Serafina sits at the top. Mom. Did you talk to Sabrina about the lake house situation? Serafina. No need. Once we phase her out completely, she'll never know about Grandma's will anyway. Mom. Good. Kalen says he can handle the paperwork if Director Stevens cooperates. We just need to make sure Sabrina stays focused on her little building projects instead of asking about Estelle. Serafina. She's so wrapped up in work she barely visits anymore. Told you those emergencies would keep her too busy to check on Grandma. Mom. Perfect. Just make sure you're posting those care photos when you go. Need to maintain appearances. Serafina. Already scheduled for Thursday. Blessed granddaughter. My stomach turns. Phasing me out. Handling paperwork. The texts span months, each message more calculating than the last. They weren't just taking my money, they were deliberately keeping me from my grandmother. I scroll further, searching for context, when a name stops me cold. Mom. Director Stevens says we need to handle the Estelle situation by end of month. Her mind is getting worse, but she still asks for Sabrina. It's becoming a problem. Serafina. Can't we just tell her Sabrina moved away? Mom. We tried that. She gets upset, wants to call her. Better to limit visits altogether. Serafina. Kalen says if we get everything signed before she gets worse, nobody can question it later. A notification from another conversation appears at the top of the screen. A distant cousin, one I haven't spoken to in years. R.I.P. Aunt Estelle. She will be missed. Sending prayers to your family during this difficult time. The tablet slips from my fingers, bouncing on the carpet. Estelle is dead? My grandmother is gone, and nobody told me? I grab my phone with trembling hands, hit my mother's number before thinking. She answers on the second ring. Sabrina? I thought I made myself clear yesterday. When did Grandma Estelle die? My voice doesn't sound like my own. A pause. Too long. Oh. Her voice shifts to a practiced tone of surprise. I forgot to tell you. It happened last week. The funeral is tomorrow. Family only. You understand. Family only, I repeat. The words taste like metal. Yes, dear. Given our current situation, it would be uncomfortable for everyone if you... I end the call, staring at the blank screen. Estelle, the woman who taught me to draw, who saved my childhood sketches when Mom threw them out as clutter, who believed in my architectural dreams when everyone else called them impractical, is gone. And they kept it from me. The shock begins to crystallize into something harder, colder. The grief remains, but now shares space with fury. I return to the tablet, methodical now. There's a reference to a lawyer, Arthur Harding, in the messages. A quick search reveals his office downtown. Professional, specialized in estate law. I make the call. Harding and Associates. Hello. I need to schedule an appointment with Mr. Harding regarding my grandmother's estate. Her name was Estelle Dubois. And your name? Sabrina Parker. I'm her granddaughter. One moment. Keyboard clicks. Mr. Harding has an opening tomorrow at 3. Perfect. I spend the next hours documenting everything, screenshots of messages, bank transfers, timelines, creating a map of betrayal that spans years, not just months. The pattern becomes clear. Systematic isolation, financial drain, and now, apparently, something to do with Grandma Estelle's will. My phone buzzes with a text from Serafina. Hey sis, hate to bother you with everything going on, but could you possibly spot me for some new camera equipment? Just a tiny loan. $1,200 should cover it. For my business. For the first time in our adult relationship, I type a single word, no. Her response is immediate. Wow. Grandma just died and you can't even help your sister? That tells me everything. I don't respond. Instead, I continue organizing evidence, preparing for tomorrow's meeting. Whatever handling the Estelle situation means, I intend to find out. The next afternoon, I sit in a wood-paneled office across from Arthur Harding. He's older than I expected, late 60s, with reading glasses perched at the end of his nose as he reviews the file before him. Miss Parker, he begins, professional distance in his tone. Your mother has already filed your grandmother's most recent will. Everything seems to be in order. I believe that will is a forgery. His eyes flicker up, measuring me. That's a serious accusation. I have evidence suggesting my mother and sister deliberately kept me from visiting my grandmother in her final months. There are messages discussing handling the Estelle situation, and references to having documents signed. He removes his glasses slowly. I've known your grandmother for many years, Miss Parker. The will I have is dated 3 months ago. And the previous will? A moment of hesitation. Then he reaches for a drawer, extracts another file. 4 years ago. Significantly different provisions. May I see it? He passes the document across the desk. The first line of the beneficiary section steals my breath. To my granddaughter, Sabrina Parker, I leave all property, financial assets, and personal effects. Mr. Harding's voice cuts through my thoughts. You need to find proof of fraud, Miss Parker. Serious proof. Challenging a will is difficult under the best circumstances. I meet his eyes. I understand. For the first time since receiving that text, I feel something like hope, not warm, but sharp and clarifying. Whatever they've done, whatever they're planning, I will find it. And then we'll see who's really done with this family. The next morning, the nursing home receptionist's smile falters when I introduce myself. Recognition flickers in her eyes, followed by something that looks suspiciously like pity. I'm here to collect my grandmother's personal items. I say, forcing my voice to remain steady. Estelle Dubois' belongings. She reaches for the phone. Let me call Director Stevens. While waiting, I scan the visiting area. A framed photo of Mom and Serafina from last Christmas sits prominently on the welcome desk. Grandma Estelle isn't in it. Neither am I. Director Stevens appears within minutes, a security guard hovering in his wake. His face arranges itself into professional concern, but his eyes are cold. Miss Parker, I understand your desire to collect your grandmother's items. He clasps his hands in front of him. However, only the executrix, Miss Genevieve Parker, has authorization to remove personal effects. I'm her granddaughter. Yes, well, he clears his throat. We have specific instructions. The security guard shifts his weight, hand resting on his radio. Instructions? I repeat. From your mother, the legal executrix. Director Stevens gestures toward the exit. Perhaps you should speak with her directly. Rector. 2 nurses walk past, whispering. I catch fragments. The granddaughter they warned us about, and trying to steal heirlooms. My phone vibrates. Serafina's latest Instagram post appears on my screen. A black and white photo of her holding Grandma Estelle's reading glasses, captioned, Some toxic family members will try to profit from grief rather than process it. Protecting Grandma's legacy. Family first. Posted 3 minutes ago. Fine. I turn to leave, hands trembling with rage rather than weakness. I'll be in touch through my lawyer. The parking lot stretches before me, empty except for my car and the afternoon sun glinting off windshields. I'm halfway across the asphalt when I hear hurried footsteps behind me. Miss Parker! Wait! A nurse in blue scrubs jogs toward me, glancing nervously over her shoulder. Her badge reads, Brenda kneeling, RN. I shouldn't be doing this, she says, voice barely above a whisper. But I cared for Estelle. I loved her. The simple past, tense loved, not love hits me like a physical blow. Grandma is really gone. What do you want? I ask, wary of another trap. Brenda looks around again, then steps closer. What they did. It's criminal. She only ever asked for you. Never them. Only you. Something shifts inside me, the first validation I've felt in days. Someone else sees it. I'm not crazy. I'm not toxic. They visited when she was signing papers, Brenda continues. They wouldn't let me in the room. Against protocol. What kind of papers? I don't know exactly, but afterward, Director Stevens was so pleased, said the facility would be receiving a substantial donation. We exchange phone numbers, Brenda promising to contact me if she finds anything concrete. Be careful, she warns. They're watching for you now. That night, I can't sleep. I pace my apartment, reviewing everything I've learned. Serafina's, family first posts, mom's sudden wealth, Director Stevens blocking access. It all points to the will, but I need proof. My phone buzzes at 2:17 a.m. A text from Brenda. Check your email. Security camera in hall outside her room. I'm on night shift. Delete this. The video file loads slowly. Black and white footage shows Grandma's room, door ajar. The timestamp reads 10 days ago, 2 days before she died. Inside the room, visible through the gap, Kalen, Serafina's boyfriend, bent over a document, carefully tracing what appears to be a signature. Director Stevens stands beside him, notary stamp in hand. And there, in the background, Mom and Serafina watch, champagne glasses in hand. I replay it 3 times, each viewing stoking my anger. The 4th time, I notice something in the corner, Grandma's bed, empty. Where was she when they forged her signature? Another text from Brenda arrives. She was in radiology for tests. They knew her schedule. Got you, I whisper to my empty apartment. The next morning, I search Mom's Facebook messages again. A name appears repeatedly in exchanges about Grandma, Beatrice. She seems to be someone Mom actively avoids, perfect for my purposes. Google yields a Beatrice Croft in Portland, Oregon, 63 years old, born Beatrice Parker. Grandma's maiden name was Parker. This could be Mom's sister. My fingers hover over the keyboard, doubt creeping in. What if she's just another enabler? What if this makes things worse? The image of Kalen forging Grandma's signature steals my resolve. I dial the number. Hello? A woman's voice, strong but wary. Aunt Beatrice? You don't know me. I'm Sabrina, Genevieve's daughter. My voice catches. I think my mother is stealing Grandma Estelle's estate. A long silence follows, then a weary sigh that contains decades of history. I'm not surprised, child. Genevieve did the same thing to our parents 30 years ago. The validation hits me like a wave. You believe me? Of course I do. She cut me out completely when our father died, claimed I was unstable, that I'd mismanaged money. Sound familiar? It does exactly what they're saying about me now. Tell me what you need, Beatrice says, and for the first time in weeks, I feel like I have family. 2 days later, I meet with Dr. Eris Thorne, a handwriting expert Beatrice recommended. He compares samples of Grandma's signature from her birthday cards to me, with the photographed Will's signature Mr. Harding reluctantly provided. Dr. Thorne barely needs 10 minutes. This is unquestionably a forgery, he declares, and not even a particularly good one. The pressure points are inconsistent, the letter formations distinctly different. He looks up from his magnifying glass. Whoever did this was rushing. With Dr. Thorne's written analysis and the security footage, I contact Detective Miller from the Economic Crimes Division. She reviews everything carefully, asking precise questions about timelines and relationships. We'll need to move strategically, she advises. These kinds of cases hinge on timing. We don't want them disposing of assets before we can act. I leave with a plan in place, a court date for the evidence presentation, and something I haven't felt in weeks: hope. That evening, an official notice arrives at my apartment, the reading of Grandma's will, scheduled for Friday at Mr. Harding's office. Perfect timing. My phone lights up with a text from Mr. Harding. They don't know what's coming. As I pack the evidence folder, video file, expert analysis, Witness statements, my phone rings. Mom's name appears on the screen. After weeks of silence, now she wants to talk? I answer, curiosity winning over caution. Sabrina, darling. Her voice is honey sweet, the way it gets when she wants something. I think there's been a misunderstanding. I let the silence stretch, remembering all the times I rushed to apologize first, to fix things I hadn't broken. I'll see you at the reading, Mother. I say finally, my voice calm and clear. I end the call before she can respond, a small victory that feels bigger than it should. On the will reading day, I arrive at Mr. Harding's office precisely at 3 p.m., neither a minute early nor a second late. The calculated punctuality is deliberate. I refuse to give them the satisfaction of appearing either eager or reluctant. The heavy oak door closes behind me with a soft click. 7 heads swivel in unison, eyes widening as they register my presence. My mother's face transitions from composed to alarmed in the span of a heartbeat. What is she doing here? Genevieve whispers to Serafina, her voice carrying in the silence of the wood-paneled room. My sister rolls her eyes dramatically, making sure everyone notices her performative disdain. She tilts her head toward Aunt Darlene, playing to her audience as always. I take the only remaining seat directly across from my mother and meet her gaze without blinking. Her eyes dart away first. Genevieve looks expensive today. Her cream-colored suit appears freshly purchased, the price tags probably still in her car. Diamond studs catch the light when she turns her head studs. I recognize from a medical emergency 3 months ago. $2,000 well spent, apparently. Serafina holds her phone at what she considers a discreet angle, documenting what she'll later caption as a solemn family moment. Her thumb moves rapidly, probably adding filters before the reading even begins. Kalen shifts uncomfortably in his seat beside her, eyes flicking nervously toward Director Stevens, who sits ramrod straight near the window. Their confidence seems practiced rather than natural, the posture of people who believe they've already won. Aunt Darlene and Uncle Roderick flank my mother like bookends, their expressions a matched set of smug anticipation. The family has arranged themselves physically as they have, emotionally, a unified front with me, clearly positioned as the outsider. Mr. Harding clears his throat. If everyone is present, we'll begin the reading of Estelle Dubois' last will and testament. He adjusts his glasses and begins reading from the document in front of him, his professional detachment masking whatever personal opinions he might hold about its contents. I, Estelle Marie Dubois, being of sound mind, he begins, his voice steady and measured. As he reads through the standard legal preamble, I watch my mother's face. A slight smile plays at the corners of her mouth, growing more pronounced each time the phrase, "to my daughter Genevieve Parker," or "to my granddaughter Serafina Parker" appears. My collection of first edition American classics to my granddaughter Serafina, Mr. Harding reads. Books Serafina has never opened, never appreciated. Books I spent hours discussing with Grandma Estelle while helping her turn the fragile pages. My lake house property and all associated furnishings to my daughter Genevieve. The home where I spent every summer helping Grandma plant her beloved hydrangeas. The remainder of my financial assets, including stocks, bonds, and bank accounts, to be divided between my daughter Genevieve and my granddaughter Serafina in equal shares. Not a single mention of my name, as if I never existed, as if I hadn't been the only one visiting her regularly for the past 5 years. I remain silent, gathering the weight of everyone's attention as Mr. Harding continues through the final provisions. When he finally looks up and asks if there are any questions, the room has settled into a satisfied silence, the quiet of vultures after a feast. May I say something? I ask, my voice quiet but clear. The room tenses. Serafina's thumb freezes mid-text. Genevieve's smile falters. Of course, Mr. Harding says, gesturing for me to proceed. I stand, placing my evidence folder on the table. The sound of the leather portfolio hitting the polished wood seems unnaturally loud. I'd like to introduce Dr. Eris Thorne, I say, nodding toward the door. On cue, it opens to admit a distinguished man in his 60s carrying a slim laptop. What is this? Genevieve demands, straightening in her chair. Dr. Thorne is a forensic handwriting expert, I continue, ignoring her. He has examined the signature on this document. Mr. Harding raises an eyebrow but says nothing as Dr. Thorne connects his computer to the room's projection system. The wall behind my mother's head illuminates with a magnified image of Grandma Estelle's purported signature alongside several known authentic examples. As you can see, Dr. Thorne begins, using a laser pointer to highlight specific features. The pressure points, connecting strokes, and letter formations are inconsistent with Miss Dubois' established writing patterns. Director Stevens shifts uncomfortably in his seat, his professional facade beginning to crack. He nearly knocks over his water glass when the door opens again and Nurse Brenda enters quietly, taking a position near the wall. Nurse Brenda Kneeling cared for my grandmother during her final months. I explain. She has provided a sworn statement regarding visitors to my grandmother's room on the day this will was supposedly signed. Genevieve stands abruptly. This is ridiculous. Arthur, you can't allow this ambush. I believe Miss Parker has the right to present evidence if she believes there's been wrongdoing, Mr. Harding replies, his tone carefully neutral. The final piece falls into place when Detective Miller appears in the doorway, nodding at me before addressing the room. I'm Detective James Miller, Economic Crimes Division, he announces. I'd like everyone to remain seated while we review some additional evidence. He produces a tablet and plays a video on the projection screen. The security footage is grainy but unmistakable. Kaylin bent over a document at my grandmother's bedside, carefully tracing what appears to be a signature, while Director Stevens stands nearby, notary stamp in hand. In the background, the distinct figures of my mother and sister watch, occasionally glancing toward the door. Turn that off immediately. Genevieve lunges toward the projector. This is absurd. She's trying to ruin us out of jealousy, Serafina cries, tears appearing on command. Mom, make them stop this. Kaylin is already moving toward the door, but two uniformed officers block his exit. His face drains of color as Detective Miller begins reciting Miranda rights, the familiar words echoing in the suddenly silent room. Genevieve Parker, Serafina Parker, Kaylin Stone, and James Stevens, you're under arrest for fraud, forgery, and conspiracy to defraud an estate. The click of handcuffs echoes in the room, first around Kaylin's wrists, then Director Stevens, then Serafina's. When the officer reaches for Genevieve, she flinches as if his touch might burn her. You can't do this, she whispers, no longer looking at the officer but directly at me. I'm your mother. The stunned silence that follows feels like a physical presence in the room. Aunt Darlene and Uncle Roderick have moved to the far corner, their expressions transforming from smugness to horror, to calculated distance. We had no idea, Uncle Roderick announces to no one in particular. If we'd known anything about this, we certainly would have spoken up immediately. Mr. Harding waits until the officers have escorted the four handcuffed figures toward the door before opening his desk drawer. He removes another document, this one in a blue folder. I believe this is now the valid document, he says, placing Grandma Estelle's original will on the table. The one that Miss Estelle Dubois signed in my presence 4 years ago, leaving the majority of her estate to her granddaughter, Sabrina Parker. I don't feel the triumph I expected, just a hollow ache where family should be. As the room clears, Detective Miller pauses beside me. Good work, he says quietly, but this isn't over yet. They'll be out on bail soon. I nod, gathering my evidence folder. The battle is won, but the war has just begun. A week later, the GoFundMe notification flashes on my phone screen, fighting my greedy, abusive daughter. My mother's face stares back at me, carefully posed with a tissue dabbed to the corner of her eye. The fundraiser has already collected $3,200. I scroll through the description, my jaw tightening with each fabricated detail. According to Genevieve, I've manipulated my poor, vulnerable grandmother and falsified evidence to frame my innocent mother and sister. The comment section overflows with sympathy and outrage on her behalf. Your mother raised you alone after your father abandoned you both. Writes someone named Linda. How could you do this to her? They don't know that Dad left because Mom emptied their joint accounts. They don't know anything. My work phone rings. It's my colleague Richard. Sabrina, I just saw the most disturbing thing on TikTok. Your sister. I know. I cut him off, rubbing my temples. They're out on bail and running a smear campaign. It's gone viral. She's promising her followers a live confrontation at some family retreat this weekend. I pull up Serafina's TikTok profile. There she is, tears streaming perfectly down her face, makeup artfully smudged just enough to look authentic without being messy. Next weekend, I'll face my abuser at our annual Parker family retreat. She tells her 70,000 followers, voice quavering. I'll show you all the truth, no matter how scared I am. My phone buzzes with a text from a second cousin I haven't spoken to in years. How could you do this to your mother? After everything she's done for you? It's the third such message today, the 10th, this week. Another notification. An email from Genevieve to the entire extended family about the Parker family retreat at the lake house. My lake house now, legally Estelle's property that passed to me through her actual, legitimate will. I close my laptop, overwhelmed by the digital onslaught. The weight of this public character assassination presses down on me. For a moment, I consider hiding, disappearing until the trial. Let the courts handle it. Let the evidence speak for itself. My phone rings again. It's Aunt Beatrice. They're really going for the court of public opinion, aren't they? She says when I answer, skipping any greeting. It's working. I admit, my voice smaller than I intend. People are believing them. People believe what's convenient and simple. The truth is rarely either. Aunt Beatrice's voice hardens. What's your plan? I don't know if I have one. Maybe just wait for the trial? By then, your reputation will be in tatters. Genevieve knows exactly what she's doing. Aunt Beatrice pauses. Let them have their retreat. What? You want me to host them at the lake house? Not host. Be ready. There's a steely confidence in her voice that steadies me. We'll set the stage, Sabrina, just like they are. 2 days later, we walk through the lake house, Aunt Beatrice pointing out optimal spots for discreet recording equipment. The place feels different now, no longer the warm refuge of childhood memories with Grandma Estelle, but a battleground for the final confrontation. I found something, Beatrice says that evening, carefully placing an old digital recorder on the kitchen table. Estelle gave this to me for safekeeping months ago. I think she suspected something might happen. I press play. Grandma's voice, frailer than I remember but still clear, fills the room. I'm changing my will today. Sabrina is the only one who comes without wanting something. That's why she gets everything. Genevieve hasn't visited me once without asking for money. And that granddaughter Serafina only comes to take pictures for her internet followers. Tears prick at my eyes. I hadn't known Grandma was so aware, even with her Alzheimer's. We'll need more. I say, wiping my eyes. Videos of me with Estelle. The forgery footage in higher resolution. Everything. And we'll need to be strategic about when we show it, Aunt Beatrice adds. Timing is everything. Saturday arrives with a convoy of cars pulling into the lake house driveway. I watch from the upstairs window as my relatives emerge, carrying covered dishes and overnight bags. They expect a gathering. They'll get a reckoning. Genevieve spots me watching and freezes momentarily before recovering with a tight smile and a wave, the performance already beginning. When the last guest arrives, I descend the stairs. The living room falls silent as I enter. Welcome to the annual Parker family retreat, I say quietly. I'm glad you could all make it. Genevieve recovers first, stepping forward with a microphone in hand. She must have brought her own sound system. Since we're all here, she announces to the room, I think it's time we address the elephant in the room. She turns to me, voice rising dramatically. Sabrina is doing this because she abused Serafina for years. She's always been jealous of her sister's success. Serafina steps forward, phone held at the perfect angle for her live stream, tears already flowing. I've been afraid to speak out, she says tremulously to her audience, but I can't stay silent anymore. I notice several family members shifting uncomfortably, looking between us, uncertain who to believe. Without a word, I walk to the audiovisual setup Aunt Beatrice and I prepared yesterday. I connect my laptop as Serafina continues her performance, her follower count ticking upward with each crocodile tear. I think, I say, interrupting her flow, we should see the truth. The projector illuminates the wall behind me. The first video plays, me feeding Grandma Estelle, helping her with physical therapy exercises, reading to her while she smiles peacefully. No posed selfies, no performative affection, just genuine care. Whispers ripple through the gathered family. The second video begins the forgery footage, now in crystal clear resolution. Kaylin bent over Estelle's will, practicing her signature before applying it to the document. Director Stevens applying his notary stamp. Genevieve and Serafina watching approvingly in the background. Serafina's live stream continues, but her performance falters as her phone screen fills with comments. Wait, is this for real? Are we watching a crime happening? Oh my god, she lied to us. Finally, I play Estelle's audio recording. As my grandmother's voice fills the room, explaining why she left everything to me, Aunt Beatrice steps forward. Genevieve did the same thing to our parents. She announces, her voice steady. This is a pattern. I was too young to stop it then, but I'm here now. Family members begin backing away from Genevieve and Serafina, the united front crumbling with each new revelation. Serafina lunges for the projector. She's manipulating the videos. This is all fake. The front door opens. Detective Miller steps in, followed by 2 uniformed officers. Bail violation, he says simply, and we'll be adding defamation charges. As they're led away, Serafina's phone still live streaming the entire arrest, I catch a glimpse of her follower count dropping in real time. Her carefully constructed influencer persona crumbles before thousands of witnesses. The truth will always surface eventually, I say quietly, more to myself than anyone else. The family retreat continues, but it's a different gathering now. One by one, relatives approach with awkward apologies and stunned realizations. I accept them with quiet dignity, knowing that while some relationships might be salvaged, nothing will ever be the same. And perhaps that's exactly as it should be. The doorbell rings, an unwelcome intrusion on my first peaceful morning in weeks. Through the peephole, I see Aunt Darlene and Uncle Roderick standing on my porch, their expressions set in what I recognize as their family intervention faces. I consider not answering, but something inside me that knew, steely, something that formed the day I received my mother's text, wants this conversation. Sabrina, dear, Aunt Darlene says when I open the door, her voice honeyed with false concern. We need to talk. I step aside without a word, letting them enter. Uncle Roderick's cologne fills my living room, the same overpowering scent he wore at the lake house when they all raised their glasses and called me toxic. This has gone too far, he says, refusing my gesture to sit. The sentencing was yesterday. 7 years for your mother, Sabrina. 7 years. 4 for Serafina, Aunt Darlene adds, clutching her designer purse like a shield. And that poor boy Kalen got 8. You must drop the charges. Family is family. A strange calm washes over me. You were there, weren't you? I ask, my voice steady. At the family dinner, the night Mom sent that text. They exchange glances. I don't see what that has to, Uncle Roderick begins. You were eating the food and drinking the wine I paid for. I step closer. The wine I bought with the money Mom said was for a broken AC unit, while you all called me toxic. Aunt Darlene's face flushes. Sabrina, you're not being fair. We didn't know. You knew. The words come out softly, but they land with weight. You've always known. You're not family. You're her audience. Uncle Roderick draws himself up, indignation replacing his conciliatory tone. Now listen here. I walk to the door and pull it open wide. Get out of my house. This isn't over, Aunt Darlene says, but her voice wavers. It is for me. The legal proceedings moved with unexpected swiftness after that. Director Stevens took a plea deal, providing testimony that sealed the others' fates. The GoFundMe campaign Serafina had created, Help Us Fight Family Betrayal, was shut down, all donations refunded through what became the Estelle Foundation's first official act. The foundation's second was to launch a nursing home reform initiative in my grandmother's memory. 3 weeks after the sentencing, I receive a thick envelope from the Women's Correctional Facility. 10 pages of my mother's elegant handwriting, full of explanations, justifications, and carefully constructed apologies that never quite take responsibility. She reminds me of our beautiful family bond. She points out how Serafina is suffering without her social media access. She suggests that perhaps we both made mistakes. I spend hours with that letter, reading and rereading, feeling the words try to wind around me like familiar chains. I write dozens of replies in my head, arguments and counter-arguments, defenses and accusations. In the end, I take a single sheet of paper and write one sentence. You were right the first time. We're done. After a moment's thought, I add a P.S. Your commissary account will not be funded by me. Try manifesting abundance, as Serafina taught you. I seal the envelope without regret. The healing comes in quiet moments after that, standing at Estelle's grave with fresh daffodils, her favorites. Restoring her garden at the lake house, my hands in the dirt she once tended. Weekly calls with Aunt Beatrice, building a relationship based on mutual respect rather than obligation. My architecture firm promotes me after I bring in 2 major clients. Without the constant drain of family emergencies, my finances stabilize, then flourish. When December arrives, I host a small gathering at the lake house. My colleague Marcus and his wife, 2 friends from my running group, Aunt Beatrice, who flies in from Oregon. We eat and laugh around a table where no one keeps score, where no one takes without giving back. Tonight, I sit on the lake house deck, watching the sun sink behind the trees. My phone buzzes with a notification: the Estelle Foundation has awarded its first nursing home staff scholarship to a young nurse named Lily Keller. I glance at my social media feed one last time. Serafina's influencer account stands frozen in time, her last post still gathering occasionally vitriolic comments from former followers who now know the truth. With a quiet smile, I silence my phone and turn my attention back to the sunset, painting the lake in shades of gold and pink. The family we choose, I think, is the family that matters.